The stars above Earth had never seemed so crowded. 3 massive alien ships hung in orbit, their hulls glittering with lights that pulsed in colors humans had no names for. Down below in the Emergency Council chamber in Geneva, representatives from every nation stared at the holographic projection of the alien standing before them. Ambassador Zelthor was not what anyone had expected. The creature looked like a walking crystal, its body made of transparent geometric shapes that shifted and reformed as it moved. When it spoke, the words came from a translator device that floated beside its head, turning its musical chimes into flat, emotionless English. "Humanity has been observed," Zelthor said. "You have achieved faster than light travel. This means you have reached the threshold. You must now present yourselves to the Galactic Space Council." President Maria Santos of the United Earth Government stood up slowly. She had been elected just 6 months ago, chosen to lead humanity through its first contact with alien life. Now she wished someone else had the job. "We are honored by your visit, Ambassador," she said carefully, "but we don't understand." "Are we being ordered?" The crystal being tilted what might have been its head. "All species who achieve FTL travel must join the Council. This has been law for 12,000 years. You will send representatives to Concordia, the Council homeworld. There you will learn your place." The way Zelthor said "your place" made Maria's stomach tighten. She glanced at her advisors. General James Morrison looked angry. Dr. Chen Wei-Lin, head of Earth's Space Defense Force, was taking notes with a grim expression. "And if we refuse?" Maria asked. "Refusal is not possible," Zelthor replied. "You are a Category 3 emerging species. You lack the technology, resources, and knowledge to exist independently. The Council will guide you, protect you. In exchange, you will follow Council law." "What laws?" General Morrison demanded. Zelthor's crystalline body flashed with rainbow colors. "You will not develop restricted weapons. You will not expand beyond your assigned territory. You will contribute resources and labor to Council projects. You will accept Council authority in all matters." The room erupted in angry voices. Maria raised her hand for silence, but it took several minutes for the shouting to die down. When it finally did, she looked directly at the alien ambassador. "We need time to consider this," she said. "You have 6 days," Zelthor said. "Then a delegation from Earth will travel to Concordia. This is not negotiable." The hologram flickered and vanished. The alien ships in orbit began moving away, accelerating toward the edge of the solar system. Within hours, they had vanished into FTL travel, leaving Earth alone with a choice that wasn't really a choice at all. 6 days later, Admiral Chen Wei-Lin stood aboard the UHSV Messenger, humanity's first diplomatic vessel. Beside her were President Santos, Dr. Sarah Okonkwo from the International Science Council, and a dozen other representatives. The ship was the best humanity could build, but Chen knew it was primitive compared to what they were about to see. The jump to Concordia took 3 days. When they finally arrived, Chen felt her breath catch in her throat. The Council homeworld orbited a blue giant star, but the planet itself was barely visible beneath the orbital structures. Hundreds of space stations formed rings around the planet, each one larger than Earth's moon. Ships of every imaginable shape moved between them, creating a traffic pattern so complex it looked like chaos. "Welcome to Concordia." Zelthor's voice came through the communication system. "Follow the guidance beacons to docking station 47. The station they docked at was larger than any city on Earth. Chen and the others were escorted through corridors filled with aliens of every type. Some walked on 2 legs, some on 4, some on 6. Some flew, some slithered. Some were so strange that Chen couldn't figure out how they moved at all. Finally, they reached the Council chamber. It was a massive spherical room with seats arranged in circles rising up toward the ceiling. Hundreds of aliens filled those seats, representing dozens of different species. At the center, on a raised platform, stood 7 figures. These were the Council elders, the leaders of the 7 most powerful species. "The humans may approach," one of the elders said. This one looked like a giant insect with multiple eyes and clicking mandibles. President Santos led the Earth delegation to the center of the chamber. Chen could feel thousands of alien eyes watching them. She kept her hand near her sidearm, though she knew it would be useless if things went wrong. "Humans of Earth," the insect elder said. "I am High Chancellor Zexthar of the Hive Collective. We have reviewed your species. You are young, primitive, but you show potential. You will be assigned mining rights to 3 asteroid fields in your system. In return, you will provide raw materials to the Council. That's not acceptable, President Santos said firmly. We're not here to be your workers. We're here as equals. The chamber filled with sounds that the translator interpreted as laughter. Xthar's mandibles clicked rapidly. Equals, the Chancellor said. You have barely left your own solar system. Your weapons are chemical and nuclear. Your ships are held together with welded metal. You know nothing of the galaxy. Nothing of the dangers. Nothing of the technologies that separate civilization from barbarism. Another elder stood up. This one was reptilian with green scales and yellow eyes. Chen recognized the species from the briefing files. Catharn, one of the most aggressive species in the Council. I am War Chief Rask of the Catharn Dominion, the reptile said. The humans occupy territory that borders our expansion zone. We claim the 3 colony worlds they have established on Alpha Centauri, Tau Ceti, and Epsilon Eridani. As is our right under Council law. Those are our colonies, General Morrison shouted. We built them. People live there. Council law is clear, Rask said, his voice cold. Emerging species may not claim worlds beyond their home system without Council approval. You did not have approval. Therefore, the worlds are forfeit. President Santos looked at Chancellor Xthar. Is this true? You're going to let them take our colonies? The Chancellor made a dismissive gesture with one of its many legs. The Catharn claim is valid under Council law. You have 6 months to evacuate your colonists. After that, the Catharn will take possession. If you resist, they are authorized to use force. Chen saw President Santos's hands curl into fists. The President's voice was shaking with anger when she spoke. We need to discuss this with our government, Santos said. We need time. You have 6 months, Chancellor Xthar said. This audience is concluded. The Earth delegation was escorted out of the chamber. As they walked back to their ship, Chen could hear alien voices discussing them. The translator turning their words into mocking commentary about human weakness and ignorance. On the flight back to Earth, the delegation sat in silence for a long time. Finally, President Santos looked at Chen. Admiral, I need your honest assessment. Can we fight them? Chen thought about the thousands of ships she had seen at Concordia. She thought about technologies humanity didn't understand and weapons they couldn't match. Conventionally? No, Chen said quietly. But there might be another way. Santos leaned forward. What way? Chen glanced at Dr. Okonkwo, who nodded slowly. Madam President, Chen said, there's something we need to tell you. Something that's been kept secret for 30 years. Something the Council doesn't know we have. What is it? Chen took a deep breath. We call it Project Umbra. 32 years earlier, Dr. Sarah Okonkwo had been a young physicist working at the European Organization for Nuclear Research. She remembered the day everything changed. She had been running particle collision tests looking for exotic matter, when the sensors detected something impossible. Matter that wasn't there. Not antimatter, not dark energy. Something else. Something that had mass and gravity but couldn't be seen or touched. Dark matter. Every scientist knew it existed, holding galaxies together with its invisible gravity. But no one had ever directly detected it before. Sarah had spent 3 years confirming her results. Then 3 more years trying to understand what she had found. The breakthrough came on a Tuesday morning when she realized dark matter wasn't just invisible. It existed in a different layer of reality, overlapping with normal space but not quite touching it. And if it existed in a different layer, maybe it could be manipulated. Now, standing in the secret facility buried 3 kilometers beneath the Australian desert, Sarah watched President Santos's face as the truth was revealed. Around them, the massive chamber hummed with power. At the center, suspended in a field of blue light, floated a small sphere of absolute darkness. This is dark matter, Sarah explained. Not just detected, but captured and contained. We've learned how to manipulate it, shape it, use it. General Morrison stared at the sphere. Use it for what? For everything, Admiral Chen said. She nodded to Sarah, who pressed a control. The sphere expanded, growing larger and larger until it was the size of a car. Then it contracted again, shrinking down to the size of a marble. Dark matter can be programmed, Sarah continued. It responds to electromagnetic fields in specific ways. We can make it solid or intangible, visible or invisible. We can use it to generate power, create shields, build weapons. President Santos walked closer to the sphere. Why was this kept secret? Even from me? Because we weren't sure it would work, Chen said. And because we knew that if other nations found out, there would be wars to control it. So 12 countries formed a secret alliance. We called it Project Umbra. We pooled resources, shared research, and worked together. For 30 years? Santos asked. For 30 years, Chen confirmed. We knew first contact was coming eventually. We wanted to be ready. Sarah pulled up a holographic display. Dark matter technology gives us capabilities that no one else has. The Galactic Council has advanced conventional technology, but they've never learned to manipulate dark matter. Their sensors can't even detect it properly. Show me, Santos said. Chen led them through a series of blast doors into another chamber. This one was enormous, stretching away into darkness. As lights came on, Santos gasped. Ships, dozens of them. Each one was about 300 meters long, with a sleek design that looked nothing like Earth's usual boxy spacecraft. They were dark gray, almost black, and they seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. We call them the Umbra-class warships, Chen said. We've built 50 of them over the past 10 years. They're powered by dark matter reactors, which means they don't need the exotic fuel the Council uses. They can run for decades without refueling. Santos walked up to the nearest ship. Up close, she could see strange patterns on its hull like circuits made of shadow. The hull is layered with dark matter plating, Sarah explained. The ships can phase partially out of normal space. When they do, they become invisible to conventional sensors. Weapons fire passes right through them. They're ghosts, Morrison said quietly. Exactly, Chen said, but ghosts that can strike back. The weapon systems use dark matter projectiles. They can pass through conventional shields and armor, striking the target directly. Santos turned to face them. How many people know about this? On Earth? About 5,000, Chen said. Scientists, engineers, military personnel. All sworn to secrecy. The ships are crewed and ready. We've been training in the outer solar system, far from where anyone would look. And you think these ships can fight the Council? I think these ships can fight anyone, Chen said. The question is whether we should. President Santos was quiet for a long time. She walked along the line of ships, looking at each one. Finally, she stopped in front of the largest vessel. What's this one called? She asked. The Indomitable, Chen said. It's the flagship. I'd command it personally if we went to war. If we use these ships, we'll be starting a war with the most powerful alliance in the galaxy, Santos said. If we don't use them, we lose our colonies and become slaves, Morrison countered. Sarah stepped forward. Madam President, there's another option. We don't have to start a war. We just have to show them we can't be bullied. Explain, Santos said. The Catharn are sending a fleet to take our colonies, Sarah said. What if we let them come? What if we let them think they've won? And then we show them what we can do? Chen smiled grimly. An ambush. Let them get close, confident, careless. Then we hit them with everything we have. How many ships are they sending? Santos asked. Intelligence suggests 200, Chen said. Standard Catharn battle group. Enough to overwhelm any conventional defense we could mount. And you think 50 ships can defeat 200? I think 50 Umbra-class ships can defeat 2,000 conventional ships, Chen said. But there's only one way to prove it. Santos looked at each of them in turn. If we do this, there's no going back. The Council will see us as a threat. Other species might attack us too. They see us as a threat already, Morrison said. They just don't think we can actually hurt them. Maybe it's time we changed their minds. Santos walked back to the Indomitable. She placed her hand on its hull, feeling the strange coolness of the dark matter plating. I became president to protect humanity, she said quietly. To give us a future among the stars. I didn't think that future would involve war. War is coming whether we want it or not, Chen said. The only question is whether we fight as equals or die as slaves. Santos closed her eyes. She thought about the 3 colonies, about the millions of people living on those worlds. She thought about the contempt in Chancellor Zexthar's voice, the greed in War Chief Rask's eyes. She thought about humanity's long history of fighting for freedom against overwhelming odds. When she opened her eyes, her decision was made. Prepare the fleet, Santos said. But I want to try diplomacy first. We'll evacuate the colonies as ordered. We'll act cooperative and weak. Let them think we're beaten. And when the Catharn fleet arrives? Chen asked. Santos smiled, but there was no humor in it. When they arrive, Admiral, you will show them exactly what happens when someone threatens humanity. Show them we are not Category 3. Show them we are not primitive. Show them that we are not prey. Chen saluted sharply. Yes, Madam President. Over the next 5 months, Earth put on a show of compliance. The colonies were evacuated, though the colonists were told the truth and promised they would return. Ships carried supplies and people back to Earth in a steady stream. Council observers watched and reported that the humans were obeying orders. But beneath the surface, preparations continued. The Umbra fleet moved into position, hiding in the dark matter layer of space where Council sensors couldn't detect them. Crews drilled endlessly, running simulations of the coming battle. Weapons were tested and retested, and on Earth, President Santos made a speech that was broadcast across all of human space. We are complying with Council law, she said. We are evacuating our colonies. We are showing respect for the established order. But let it be known here and now that humanity bows to law, not to force. We kneel to justice, not to threats. And if anyone mistakes our compliance for weakness, they will learn a lesson they will never forget. The Council observers noted the speech but dismissed it as empty bravado. After all, what could a primitive species do against the might of the Catharn Dominion? They would soon find out. War Chief Rask stood on the bridge of his flagship, the blood of conquest, and watched Earth grow larger on the view screen. Behind his ship, 199 other Catharn vessels maintained formation. It was the largest battle group the Dominion had assembled in 50 years, and Rask felt proud to command it. All ships report ready, his tactical officer said. Weapons charged. Shields at maximum. The human homeworld is defenseless. Rask's mouth opened in what his species considered a smile, showing rows of sharp teeth. The humans had evacuated their colonies as ordered, scattering back to their primitive homeworld like frightened animals. They had shown proper submission to superior power. But Rask had convinced the Council to let him make an example anyway. Open a channel to Earth, Rask ordered. A moment later, the view screen split. On one side was Earth, blue and green and helpless. On the other side appeared a human woman in a military uniform. Rask recognized her from the intelligence files. Admiral Chen Wei-Lin, commander of Earth's defense forces. I am War Chief Rask of the Catharn Dominion, he announced. Your colonies now belong to us, but we have decided your compliance came too late. You showed disrespect to the Council. You must be punished. Admiral Chen's face showed no emotion. What are your demands? You will surrender control of your orbital facilities, Rask said. You will provide workers for our mining operations, and you will pay tribute of resources for the next 100 years. If you refuse, we will begin orbital bombardment in 12 hours. I see, Chen said calmly. And if we agree? Rask hadn't expected it to be this easy. He glanced at his officers, who looked equally surprised. If you agree, you will transmit control codes for your stations immediately. Failure to comply will result in their destruction. I need to consult with my government, Chen said. Can you give us those 12 hours? You have 12 hours, Rask said. But know this, human. If you try to resist, your species will be exterminated. We have 200 warships. You have nothing that can threaten us. Understood, Chen said. The screen went dark. Rask settled back in his command chair, satisfied. His officers moved efficiently around the bridge, coordinating the battle group's positions. The fleet formed a sphere around Earth, weapons aimed at the major cities below. Rask had personally selected the bombardment targets. He would start with the northern hemisphere, destroying population centers until the humans begged for mercy. War Chief, his sensor officer said. The human fleet is approaching. Rask looked up sharply. What human fleet? 47 vessels, sir. No, wait, 50 vessels. They're moving into formation between us and Earth. The view screen shifted to show the approaching ships. Rask stared at them with confusion. They were small, much smaller than Catharn warships. They looked like toys. He counted them quickly. Exactly 50 ships against his 200. Are the humans insane? His tactical officer asked. They must be, Rask said. He felt a moment of respect for the humans' courage, but courage meant nothing against superior firepower. Target their ships. Prepare to fire on my command. Sir, they're hailing us again, the communications officer said. Put it through, Rask ordered. Admiral Chen appeared on the screen again. This time she was standing on what looked like a ship's bridge. Behind her, human crew members worked at various stations. War Chief Rask, Chen said. I've consulted with my government. We have a response to your demands. Surrender. Rask asked. No, Chen said. Her voice was ice cold. Humanity does not kneel. The screen went dark. For a moment, Rask sat frozen in surprise. Then rage filled him. "Destroy them!" He roared. "All ships, open fire!" 200 Catharn warships unleashed their weapons simultaneously. Plasma bolts, particle beams, and missiles streaked across the space between the fleets. It was enough firepower to vaporize a small moon. The weapons passed through the human ships as if they weren't there. What? Rask stood up from his chair. What happened? Why didn't they hit? "I don't know, sir," the tactical officer shouted. "Our weapons went right through them. It's like they're not really there. Impossible. Fire again." The second barrage produced the same result. Hundreds of weapons struck at empty space. The human ships hung motionless, untouched. Then they moved. "Incoming!" The sensor officer screamed. "They're inside our formation." "How are they inside our formation?" Rask looked at the tactical display and felt cold fear grip his hearts. The 50 human ships had simply appeared within his fleet's defensive sphere. They hadn't flown through the gap. They had materialized, appearing from nowhere. "All ships, evasive maneuvers," Rask ordered. "Reform the battle line." But it was already too late. The human ships opened fire. Their weapons were strange, dark beams that flickered like shadows. When they struck Catharn vessels, they passed through the shields without slowing down. They went through the armor like it wasn't there. And then the ships exploded from the inside. "Shields are useless," someone shouted. "Their weapons ignore our defenses." Rask watched in horror as his fleet began to die. One after another, Catharn warships erupted in flames. Some tried to run, but the human ships matched their speed effortlessly. Some tried to fight, but their weapons continued to pass harmlessly through the enemy. Some tried to ram the human ships, but the human vessels simply became intangible, letting the Catharn ships pass through them like ghosts. "We need reinforcements," Rask's tactical officer said. "There's no time," Rask said. He looked at the battle display. In just 15 minutes, he had lost 40 ships. 40 ships that had been destroyed without landing a single hit on the enemy. A human ship appeared directly in front of the Blood of Conquest. It was the largest of the human vessels, painted in dark gray with strange symbols on its hull. The same ship Admiral Chen commanded. "Incoming transmission," the communications officer said weakly. Chen's face appeared on the screen. Behind her, Rask could see her crew working calmly as if this wasn't a battle at all. "War Chief Rask," Chen said. "Surrender now or I will destroy your flagship." "You cannot," Rask shouted. "Our shields are at maximum. Our armor is impenetrable." "Watch," Chen said. The human ship fired a single weapon. A beam of concentrated darkness struck the Blood of Conquest. Rask felt the deck shudder beneath his feet. Alarms blared across the bridge. "Damage report," Rask demanded. "Impossible," the engineering officer said. "The weapon passed through our shields and armor. It destroyed our primary reactor. We've lost main power. Secondary reactor online," another officer reported. "But we're down to 30% power. Weapons offline. Shields failing." Rask looked at the view screen where Chen waited patiently for his response. Around him, his fleet was being systematically destroyed. Ships that had seemed invincible just minutes ago now floated dead in space or burned in silent explosions. He had brought 200 ships to terrorize a primitive species. Now less than half remained, and none of them had successfully damaged even one human vessel. "What are you?" Rask whispered. "We are humanity," Chen said. "And we are done being threatened." Rask looked at his surviving officers. They all looked back at him, waiting for orders. But what orders could he give? How could he fight an enemy his weapons couldn't touch? An enemy whose weapons ignored every defense? "All ships," Rask said quietly. "Stand down. Cease fire." The human attack stopped immediately. The 50 human ships held their positions, surrounding the remnants of the Catharn fleet. "You will withdraw from the system," Chen said. "You will return to your dominion, and you will tell the Council exactly what happened here. Tell them that humanity is not Category 3. Tell them we are not primitive. Tell them that the next species who threatens us will face the same fate. The Council will destroy you for this," Rask said, but his voice lacked conviction. "The Council is welcome to try," Chen said, "but I suggest they think very carefully about it first. Because what you've seen today is just 50 ships. We have more, and we're building more every day." The screen went dark. A moment later, the human ships began to fade, becoming transparent and then vanishing completely. Within seconds, they were gone, disappeared into whatever impossible dimension they had come from. Rask looked at the wreckage of his fleet. He had brought 200 warships to conquer Earth. He was leaving with 108 damaged vessels and a message that would shake the Galactic Council to its foundations. The humans were not prey. They were predators, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Galactic Council chamber descended into chaos. Holographic displays showed the battle at Earth from multiple angles, recorded by Catharn ship sensors before they were destroyed. Council members from 47 different species shouted, argued, and demanded explanations simultaneously. The translator system struggled to keep up, creating a cacophony of overlapping voices. High Chancellor Z. Exthar slammed one of its many legs against the speaking platform, creating a sound like a thunderclap. The chamber fell silent. "Order," the Chancellor commanded. "We will have order." War Chief Rask stood in the center of the chamber, his scales dulled with shame. Behind him, holographic images showed his fleet being torn apart by weapons that shouldn't exist. "Explain this," Chancellor Zaxthar said. "You brought 200 warships against a primitive species. You returned with barely half. How is this possible?" "Their technology is beyond our understanding," Rask said quietly. "Our sensors could not detect their ships until they chose to be seen. Our weapons passed through them as if they were ghosts. Their weapons ignored our shields and armor. We never had a chance." "Lies," screamed a delegate from the Vrax Collective. "No species can develop such technology without council knowledge. You must have made tactical errors." "Watch the recordings," Rask said. "Watch and see the truth." The council watched. They saw Catharn weapons fire through human ships without effect. They saw human vessels appear from nowhere, already inside the battle formation. They saw human weapons strike through shields that had been considered impenetrable. And they saw the flagship of the Catharn Dominion, one of the most powerful warships in the galaxy, crippled by a single shot. When the recordings ended, the chamber was silent. Finally, an elder from the Delphinian Empire spoke. Elder Wavesong was an aquatic species, her body floating in a tank of water that hovered beside her seat. Her voice was calm, almost musical. "This changes everything," she said. "We have maintained galactic peace for 12,000 years through superior technology and military strength. But the humans have developed something we do not understand, something we cannot counter. Then we must destroy them before they become a greater threat." This came from the representative of the Vrax Collective, a species that looked like living metal. "We must assemble the full might of the Council and eliminate humanity before they can spread their technology." "And how do you propose we do that?" Wavesong asked. "Our weapons cannot touch their ships. Our sensors cannot detect them. How do we fight an enemy we cannot see or harm?" "We have resources they don't have," the Vrax delegate insisted. "We have thousands of ships, millions of soldiers. We can overwhelm them with sheer numbers." "The Catharn tried that," Rask said bitterly. "It didn't work." Ambassador Zelthor, who had made first contact with humanity, stepped forward. The crystalline being's body pulsed with agitated colors. "I spoke with the humans when they first achieved FTL travel," Zelthor said. "They seemed primitive, weak, their technology was crude. Yet now we see they had capabilities we never imagined. I believe we made a grave error in judgment." "What error?" Chancellor Zexthar demanded. "We assumed that because their conventional technology was primitive, they were primitive," Zelthor said. "We did not consider that they might have developed along different paths than we did. We did not consider that they might know things we do not." High Elder Mindseeker of the collective consciousness spoke for the first time. His species existed as energy beings, visible only as glowing patterns in the air. "I have reviewed all our scientific databases," Mindseeker said. "The weapons the humans use appear to manipulate what ancient pre-council scientists called dark matter. We abandoned research into dark matter 12,000 years ago, when we achieved plasma weapons and particle beams. We believed those technologies were superior." "Are you saying we were wrong?" the Vrax delegate asked. "I am saying we took one path while the humans took another," Mindseeker replied. "And now we discover their path leads somewhere we cannot follow." Chancellor Z. Exthar stood silent for a long moment, its insectoid body completely still. Finally it spoke. "We must bring the humans back to Concordia. We must understand their technology. And we must negotiate new terms." "Negotiate?" The Vrax delegate sounded outraged. "They attacked a council fleet." "They must be punished. They defended their homeworld from an invasion," Elder Wavesong countered. Under council law, self-defense is permitted. The Catharn claim on their colonies was legal. The Vrax delegate insisted. Perhaps our laws need to be reconsidered, Wavesong said quietly. Before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the chamber. Security officers rushed to their stations. Chancellor ZXthar looked at its tactical display. What is happening? The Chancellor demanded. Unauthorized arrival in Concordia space, a security officer reported. Multiple ships, unknown configuration. They're not using any recognized FTL signature. How many ships? ZXthar asked. Sensors are having difficulty getting accurate readings, Chancellor. At least 50 vessels. They just appeared in orbit. No FTL transit detected. The chamber erupted in panic again. Species that had been arguing moments before now scrambled for the exits. Security forces mobilized. Defense platforms around Concordia activated their weapons. Chancellor ZXthar forced calm into its voice. Identify the ships. They're human, Chancellor. The same type that fought the Catharn. The chamber fell silent. Every council member stared at the holographic displays that now showed 50 dark gray ships in orbit around Concordia. They had simply appeared, bypassing every sensor net, every warning system, every defensive measure. They passed through our orbital shields, a security officer said, his voice shaking. The shields didn't even register their approach. It's like they exist in a different dimension. Get me President Santos of Earth, Chancellor ZXthar commanded. Immediately. A moment later, a hologram of the human president appeared in the center of the chamber. She stood on what looked like a ship's bridge with Admiral Chen visible behind her. Chancellor ZXthar, Santos said politely, thank you for accepting our communication. You have invaded council space, ZXthar said, struggling to keep its voice steady. This is an act of war. No, Chancellor, Santos replied. This is a demonstration. You summoned us to Concordia before, and we came in a small diplomatic ship that you could easily destroy. This time we chose to come in ships you cannot destroy. We wanted to make a point. What point? Ixthar asked. That the rules have changed, Santos said. You tried to take our colonies. You threatened to make us slaves. You sent a fleet to punish us for not being sufficiently obedient. All of this happened because you believed we were weak and primitive. We are here to show you that we are neither. Admiral Chen stepped forward. Our ships are currently in position around every major council facility in this system. We could cripple your infrastructure in minutes. We could destroy your defense platforms. We could phase weapons through your planetary shields and strike any target we choose. But you won't, Elder Wavesong said. It wasn't a question. No, Santos agreed. Because we're not conquerors. We don't want to rule the galaxy. We just want to live in it without being threatened or enslaved. You want to join the council as equals. Wavesong said. Yes, Santos confirmed. The Vrax delegate made a sound of disgust. Impossible. The council has not accepted a new equal member in 8,000 years. The hierarchy is established. You cannot simply, we just did, Admiral Chen interrupted. Your hierarchy is established by military and technological superiority. We have demonstrated that we possess both. By your own rules, we qualify. Chancellor ZXthar looked around the chamber. It saw fear on every face. Fear and uncertainty. The foundation of council power had been shaken. If one species could develop technology beyond their understanding, what was to stop others from doing the same? What are your demands? ZXthar asked. First, our colonies are returned to us immediately, Santos said. All of them. No restrictions on our expansion. Agreed, ZXthar said quickly. Second, humanity receives a permanent seat on the council with full voting rights and veto power. That requires unanimous agreement from all current council members, ZXthar said. Then I suggest you start getting that agreement, Santos replied. Our fleet will wait in orbit while you discuss it. And third? ZXthar asked. Third, council law is revised. No more forced subjugation of emerging species. No more treating younger civilizations as resources to be exploited. Any species that achieves FTL travel is offered partnership, not servitude. That would change everything, ZXthar said. Yes, it would, Santos agreed. It would make the council what it claims to be, a union of civilizations working together, not an empire ruling by force. Elder Wavesong spoke up. I support these terms. My delegation will vote in favor. Other voices joined hers. Not all of them. The Vrax delegate stormed out of the chamber, declaring the council was making a grave mistake. The Catharn representative sat silently, still too shocked by their defeat to speak. But slowly, species after species agreed. It took 3 days of debate. 3 days while 50 human warships sat in orbit around Concordia, a constant reminder of the new reality. 3 days of arguments, threats, and finally acceptance. 6 months after humanity's admission to the Galactic Council, the Catharn Dominion made its final mistake. War Chief Rask had been stripped of his rank and exiled. The new war chief, a younger and more aggressive Catharn named Vexthor, refused to accept what had happened. He spent months traveling across council space, visiting species that felt threatened by humanity's rise. He found allies among those who missed the old order, the old certainties, the old power structures. The Vrax Collective joined him first, then the Sorrow Legion, a species that had profited from slavery before the Council's new laws banned it. The Burning Suns, religious extremists who believed in Catharn supremacy. The Shadow Brokers, criminals who had operated freely when the Council was too busy exploiting primitive species to police its own members. 6 species in total, with a combined fleet of over 2,000 warships. Vexthor called it the Purification Armada. Its mission was simple: destroy humanity and restore the old Council order. They gathered in a distant system called Void's Edge, far from Concordia and Earth. There they trained, coordinated, and planned. Vexthor believed he had learned from Rask's mistakes. He would not engage the human fleet directly. Instead, he would strike Earth while humanity's warships were elsewhere. He would bombard the planet from orbit, destroying human cities and infrastructure. By the time human ships could respond, Earth would be ashes. What Vexthor didn't know was that Earth had known about his alliance from the beginning. Human intelligence services, enhanced with dark matter sensors that could detect ships in FTL travel, had been monitoring the Purification Armada since its formation. They knew every ship, every species, every plan. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and watched the tactical display. The Purification Armada was 2 hours away from Earth, moving at maximum FTL speed. They expected to arrive to an undefended planet. They would be disappointed. All ships report ready, her tactical officer said. How many do we have in position? Chen asked. All 50 Umbra-class warships from the original fleet, the officer replied. Plus the 50 new vessels that finished construction last month. Plus 25 more from the third production run. 125 ships total, Chen nodded. In the 6 months since the battle with the Catharn, Earth had not been idle. 3 more construction facilities had been built in hidden asteroid fields. Production of dark matter warships had tripled, and humanity had been training crews around the clock. What about Council forces? Chen asked. Elder Wavesong has sent the Delphinian defensive fleet, 32 ships. They'll provide support but follow our lead. Good, Chen said. Open a channel to President Santos. President Santos appeared on the screen. She was in the White House Situation Room, surrounded by advisors and military leaders. Behind her, a holographic map showed the approaching armada. Admiral, Santos said, are we ready? We're ready, Madam President. But I need to ask you one more time. The Council has given us permission to defend ourselves with lethal force. Are you authorizing me to destroy the Purification Armada? Santos was quiet for a moment. Chen knew what she was thinking. 2,000 ships meant perhaps 2 million lives. It was a weight no leader wanted to carry. They're coming to commit genocide, Santos said finally. They want to destroy Earth and everyone on it. Yes, Admiral. You are authorized to use whatever force is necessary to protect humanity, but try to give them a chance to surrender first. Understood, Chen said. We'll do our best. The channel closed. Chen looked at her crew. They were the best humanity had to offer, trained to operate technology that no other species understood. They were ready. Jump in 60 seconds, the navigation officer announced. All ships report synchronized and ready. Chen took a deep breath. This was it, not a skirmish or a demonstration. This was war, real war with the fate of Earth hanging in the balance. All ships, Chen said into the fleet-wide channel. This is Admiral Chen. In 1 minute we jump to Earth. The enemy has come to destroy our home. They believe we are weak. They believe we are few. They believe they can exterminate us. Today we show them the price of that belief. Today we fight not just for Earth, but for every species the Council has ever oppressed. Today we prove that humanity does not surrender. All ships jump on my mark. 3, 2, 1. Mark, space twisted. The Umbra fleet phased through the dark matter layer and emerged in normal space around Earth. The Purification Armada had just arrived, 2,000 ships spreading out to begin their bombardment. Chen didn't give them time to react. All ships, fire at will. 125 human warships unleashed hell. Dark matter weapons struck from every angle, passing through shields and armor like they didn't exist. Catharn ships exploded. Vrax vessels went dark as their reactors were destroyed. Ships from the Sorrow Legion tried to run, but found human vessels appearing in front of them, blocking their escape. Vexthor, commanding from his flagship, watched his fleet dying and felt the same cold horror Rask had felt 6 months earlier. But he was younger and more stubborn than Rask. He refused to surrender. All ships ramming speed, Vexthor ordered. If we can't shoot them, we'll ram them. At least we'll take some of them with us. Hundreds of ships turned toward the nearest human vessels. Engines at maximum power. Chen saw them coming and smiled grimly. They want to play chicken, she said. Fine, all ships maintain position. Hold your ground. Her crew looked at her with concern, but they obeyed. The human ships held still as enemy vessels accelerated toward them. At the last moment, when collision seemed certain, the human ships phased. The enemy ships passed through them like they were ghosts and collided with each other instead. The result was catastrophic. Ships designed to ram an enemy instead slammed into their own allies. Hundreds of vessels were destroyed by their own desperate tactic. The Purification Armada's formation dissolved into chaos. Enough, Chen said quietly. Target the enemy flagship. Single precision shot. Disable only. The Indomitable fired. A beam of concentrated dark matter struck Vexthor's ship, passing through its shields and destroying its main reactor. The ship went dead in space, all power offline, all weapons silenced. Chen opened a channel. Vexthor's face appeared on the screen. He looked young for a Catharn, barely past adolescence by their standards. His eyes were wide with shock and fear. War Chief Vexthor, Chen said, you have lost. Order your fleet to stand down. Never, Vexthor shouted. We will fight until... Look at your tactical display, Chen interrupted. Look at what's left of your armada. Vexthor turned to look. Of the 2,000 ships he had commanded, fewer than 800 remained intact. And even as he watched, more were being disabled by the relentless human assault. His alliance was being destroyed before his eyes. You came here to exterminate us, Chen said. You believed you could win through numbers and brutality. But you forgot something. Humanity has spent its entire existence fighting against extinction. We've survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters that would have ended other species. We don't give up. We don't surrender. And we never ever forget. Then kill me, Vexthor said. Kill us all. Prove you're the monsters we claimed you were. No, Chen said. We're not going to kill you. We're going to show you mercy. Something the Catharn never showed to others. She switched to fleet-wide channel. All ships cease fire. Disable remaining hostile vessels, but do not destroy them unless they continue to fight. The human assault stopped. Ships that had been about to be destroyed were instead boarded by human marines who secured them and took their crews prisoner. Within an hour, the entire Purification Armada had been captured or disabled. President Santos arrived at the battle site aboard a diplomatic shuttle. She met with the surviving leaders of the 6 species that had attacked Earth. They were brought aboard the Indomitable in restraints, expecting execution. Instead, Santos sat them down in a conference room and spoke to them calmly. You came here to destroy us, she said. You failed. Now you're prisoners of war. Under the old council law, we would be within our rights to execute you all. But we're not going to do that. Why not? Asked the Vrax delegate who had opposed humanity in the council chamber. Because we want something better than what the council was, Santos replied. The old council ruled through fear and force. It exploited the weak and rewarded the strong. It created a system where species like yours felt threatened by change. We want to build something different. What do you want from us? Vexthor asked. We want you to see what you almost destroyed, Santos said. We're going to take you to Earth. We're going to show you our cities, our cultures, our people. We're going to show you what you tried to exterminate. And then we're going to send you home with a message. Over the next week, the prisoners were taken to Earth. They walked through cities where humans of every color and culture lived together. They saw art and music and literature from thousands of years of human civilization. They met children who smiled at them without fear. They saw what humanity had built and what they had nearly destroyed. When they were finally released to return to their homeworlds, Vexthor approached Admiral Chen one last time. "I was taught that humans were weak," he said quietly, "that you were prey animals who got lucky with technology. But I was wrong.